Today we're going to make a bench out of copper and white concrete. This is a really simple project where the trick is just getting copper couplings cleanly embedded into concrete. Here's how we did it. I set the fence of my table saw so that it was equal to the length of two pass-through 3/4 inch copper couplings. I then used that distance to rip a bunch of pieces of melamine. I'm just using melamine shelf boards that I got from Home Depot to make the molds, and I cut the pieces to length using my compound miter saw. I'm basically cutting pieces to make a very simple tray that can hold concrete. I drew a straight line across one of the pieces of melamine about 3 inches down from the top, and then spaced out the copper couplings at even increments. I used some scrap pieces of melamine as spacers to set the distances. I then took my hot glue gun and dribbled hot glue into the coupling. This is how I'm going to attach them without using any silicone around the outside perimeter of the couplings. Once the couplings were secured, I then glued in the cut pieces of melamine around the edges of the bottom board. I'm not using any screws for this project, so I made sure to use the hot glue gun to really seal up all the outside edges of the form. To seal the inside edges, I used black silicone caulk. I laid down a generous bead and then used a fondant tool to really press the caulk into the corners and create nice, clean, consistent edges. This is a trick that I learned from my buddy Modustrial Maker, who does some of the coolest concrete projects on YouTube. Be sure to check him out. I'll put a link in the description box below. Once the silicone is cured, you can just rub it away and the silicone breaks away right along the lines that were created by pushing down with the fondant tool. I placed short pieces of 3/4 inch copper pipe in the couplings and then placed the second coupling on top of the first ones. For a concrete mix, I'm going to use Quikrete Countertop mix in white. This is a little bit more expensive than the typical Quikrete 5000 I use, and it needs to be special ordered from a Home Depot. At 6,000 psi, it's incredibly strong, and it doesn't have large pieces of aggregate in it, so it's really great for sort of fine casting projects like this. Also, the white color is just really nice. Now, one of the things I'm trying to be better at is wearing lung protection, so I made sure to wear my RZ mask while I was mixing the concrete. These are pretty simple molds and they aren't that big, so vibrating the concrete and really pushing it down into all the corners wasn't too difficult. I filled it right up flush to the edges and made sure not to let concrete drip inside the copper couplings. I let the concrete cure for 48 hours and then used a knife to cut away the hot glue and break away the molds. I then used a hammer and a screwdriver to pop out the copper pipe pieces that were holding the two couplings together. I was pleasantly surprised at how clean the couplings were embedded in the concrete. I used my tube cutter to cut 3/4 inch pieces of copper pipe to length. I then cleaned the pieces with steel wool, which turns the copper a nice rose gold color. The hot glue had all peeled out with the molds, so all I had to do at this point was just shove in the copper pipes. It was really easy at first, but once all 5 of them were in, it started to get a little bit difficult, but nothing that a rubber mallet couldn't solve. I suspected that the copper might bend a little bit under the weight of a human being, but it was way stronger than I thought, and now I'm going to use this as a bench in my entryway for taking shoes on and off. If you want to learn more about the concrete products that I use, check out Quikrete.com. If you want to see what we're working on next, be sure to follow us on Instagram. Check out some of our other videos, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thanks! Bye!